morning, Las Vegas. This is Monique Buchanan, the host of the Welcome Home with Monique show. And I pray that you are having an amazing morning today. Let's go ahead and get you started off right. Let's start off with our new listings, okay? I know that you guys know that out there right now, it's listing season. If you have a property that you've been thinking about listing, let me tell you, there is not a better time than now because we are in such a shortage of properties here in the Las Vegas Valley. You guys, my sellers are cleaning up. Don't let them do it by themselves. So here's one of our newest listings, 5014 Thunder River Circle. 5014 Thunder River Circle, 89148. It is going for $1 million. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 3364 square feet. You can check it out on my website, www.welcomehomewithmonique.com. Once again, 5014 Thunder River Circle, okay? Going for $1 million. And that is in the Southwest area. Okay, now we have another one. This one has a pool and has been completely remodeled. It is going for $435,000. Like I said, completely remodeled from head to toe. All the modern fixtures, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1533 square feet, 89107. It's 508 Sportsman Drive. And that is in the 89107 zip code, which is just, a rock's throw from Summerlin. So basically, you're going to get the Summerlin amenities without the Summerlin price. I know you guys love that, right? Now, here's another one. This one is unique. It is 4,850 square feet, you guys, almost 5,000 square feet, okay? It's a 4-bedroom, but has 5 full baths. You heard me right. 5 full baths. It also has 2 lofts, not 1, but 2. So one of them can easily be turned into a 5th bedroom. Now, this property is in the Centennial Hills area, and the address is 6740 Yellow Hair Street. There will be an open house today from 12 to 2 p.m. Again, 6740 Yellow Hair Street. We all know that Centennial is known for their schools, so check it out on the schoolgrade.com, and you'll see that the schools over there, a lot of people move in that area because of the schools. And like I said, this property can be a 5-bedroom, 5-bath by simply turning one of those lofts into a bedroom. 4,850 square feet, you guys, almost 5,000 square feet. Now, we know normally homes this big are going for at least $1 million. Well, guess what? $719,999. The open house, if you're around looking for something to do today, 12 to 2 p.m. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and jump into our show. And I have a really good one for you guys. I've got my broker joining us, Mr. Paul May, and he's going to come on and talk about what all of you guys have been hearing about and probably wondering why in the world is Monique not bringing up this whole NAR settlement situation. Well, guess what? You're going to be glad you tuned in today because I haven't brought it up because you know what? I don't like to step out of my lane, okay? So I'm going to let somebody that has been to the meetings, that knows what's going on, has his finger to the pulse of this situation, and that is no one better than my broker, Mr. Paul May. And also, I've got my newest team member. She has joined the Welcome Home team, Miss Becky Coins. I almost called you by your maiden name. And so she's coming on, and she's going to chit-chat and give us some, talk to us about a listing that she actually has as well. But let's go ahead and let's introduce Mr. Paul May. Hi, Paul. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Hello, Miss Monique Buchanan. How are you?
I'm amazing. I want to thank you for coming on and just educating my listeners on the truth about what's going on with the NAR situation. There's a lot of misconceptions and just misinformation that's being spread on TikTok, all the social media platforms. So I'm so thankful you're going to come on today and set us straight. Right?
Sure. But to start, as far as talking truth, I am so excited to be with you today because you are one of our rock star agents with eXp Realty. I see your name on the leaderboard every single month in the top 10 agents out of 1,000 agents we're talking, Monique.
Thank
so
you.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you're listening to this show, You are listening to a rock star real estate agent that will take care of your needs when
Thank
it
you, Paul.
comes to selling or buying a home.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. And I
How's
want to
that?
say, I
How's
want
a
to.
little?
I want to say thank you to my listeners
Yeah.
because guess why I am on the leadership board for over 1,000 agents? It's because of everybody that hears this show. They think of me, they promote me, they pass my number and information to their family and friends, and I'm just so humbled and so grateful. And thank you, Paul, for shouting me out. I appreciate that. All right,
Oh,
so
absolutely.
thank you, Paul. And then we're going to talk about Becky, one of our newest EXP agents and one of my best friends who got her real estate license, and she's going to be a rock star as well, Paul. Becky, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I hope to become one of those rock stars right alongside you.
Well, I'm going to hold your hand the whole way.
Well, I got to tell you, with a mentor like Monique, I got to tell you, you're in great hands, Becky.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, so Becky actually has her first listing already, so congratulations. Woohoo. She's got her
Thank
first
you.
listing, Paul. But you know what I want to start off?
Fantastic.
I want to start off with really quickly. You know, I don't say it much, I guess. It's at the end of every one of my shows. EXP Realty. Okay. You're not going to drive around and see, the offices anywhere in the city. I think we have one, right? Or a couple, Paul. What do we have?
We actually have 4.
Oh,
Monique.
watch out now.
Yeah.
And well,
Four offices that are brick and mortar in the Las Vegas, Clark County area, yes. And Henderson.
will you explain to them why they don't see a bunch of EXP marketing signs and why they don't see a bunch of brick and mortar? Because we're the first in what we're doing. I'll let you go ahead and kind of explain to my listeners.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We are the cutting edge of real estate when it comes to agent attraction, because we have this collaborative website and this collaborative world. It's called EXP World, and it's like a video game.
Mm-hmm.
And what I experience every single day is agents coming into this metaverse,
Right.
sitting down with me. I can actually share information online without them having to, pay $4 a gallon to come to a physical office.
Right.
And we have brokers that are on staff that are available, from 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock every day. And we actually have an expert care division with our brokerage that's 24/7. So if an
24
agent
hours.
needs any kind of, because we are not only in the United States, we're also in Canada and 21 plus countries throughout the world.
Yes, that's
So
absolutely right.
89,000 agents and growing, very agent centric. And the huge teams, independent brokerages, are joining EXP Realty
Every day.
because of the collaboration that we're able to do with EXP. And there's no borders, there's no boundaries. You can go in and talk to a brokerage in this metaverse, in this world. I can go in and talk to the Florida broker, the Tennessee broker, and we can all collaborate and talk about referrals back and forth. I know you love referrals, right,
I do.
Monique?
And I'm so blessed and that was one of the main reasons I decided to go with EXP, is because I am able to, turn my clients over in the hands of people that I know, because so this metaverse that he's talking about, everybody, this is a world that is in real time. In real time, I can go into the world, EXP world, and I can sit down with my little virtual self, my little avatar, and I can be talking in real time with a New York EXP agent that's on our team, basically, in our brokerage. And I can be talking about my client that I'm referring in real time with him in that world, whether that's New York, Seattle, LA, it doesn't matter. I don't know another brokerage that can do that.
Yeah. Most real estate companies are franchises, so they don't talk to each other, Monique. There's probably 5 Keller Williams offices here in Las Vegas, and I was a former broker partner owner of a Keller Williams office, and they're independent franchises, so they don't really collaborate or communicate with each other on a daily basis,
Right.
whereas EXP is one global independent brokerage
Right.
of 89,000 agents plus. So there's some great synergy there and some great collaboration.
Yes, that was another main reason that I personally joined EXP, was because of the collaboration. And it wasn't competition, it was collaboration. And another thing is many of my agents under me have multiple licenses. So one of my girls, Dawn, she's licensed in Utah, she's licensed in California, and she's licensed in Georgia, but she only pays one fee, not three different fees. That's just gets really expensive and it's crazy. So what I love about our company is that we were created by fellow agents that, thought about us when they did create this brokerage. And it's just been an amazing thing. What about you, Becky? What were some of the things that, you liked about the company and made you want to join besides coming on to the Welcome Home
I was going to say,
team?
you're going to get another little shout out there because obviously when I told my best friend here that I was ready to finally take my plunge that's been in the works for so long, I knew you would hold my hand the whole way. The training has been fantastic. And the big thing was the healthcare.
Yeah. And then the brokers, that's one thing that I was very happy about as well. There's 3 brokers. I personally, I've never been in a brokerage that you could just get a hold of a broker with a question, like at the drop
of the hat.
We can text Paul. We can jump in the world. Paul has helped me through so many deals, honestly. Paul has 30 years in? What are you in? Paul, not to age you.
Hey, you aged me by 3 years. I've been in the business for 27 years.
Yes. And like I tell all my listeners, you know what? What happens is an agent can tell you that they've been in the business for many years, but the average agent closes, 3 or 4 deals a year. So Paul has been in the business for 27 years, but has closed thousands of deals. And that's where the experience comes
1,500.
in. Wow. There you go.
Yeah.
1,500 deals. That is where you get the experience. Every deal is different. Things pop up. You need to know how to handle them. So anyways, we're so happy to have you back.
After 27 years, Monique,
Yes.
after 27 years, new stuff pops up
Every
that
day.
I'm like, I've never experienced this before. That's why it's very important to have a very knowledgeable agent
Yes.
on your side when you're selling or buying a home, because things can and do happen, and a good agent's going to navigate those hurdles.
Absolutely. And I know EXP is welcoming brokerages. Full brokerages are coming over because they get rid of that overhead, but yet they still continue to be able to make just to say it plain, money off of their agents. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's something that EXP is unique about. So if you are an agent out there listening and you're like, wow, I want to know more, you can reach us at 702-984-3700. Or if you're a new agent or a seasoned agent or a brokerage and you're like, hey, I'm tired of paying this overhead, 702-984-3700. Because right now we only have so much time and there's so much to share. I mean, EXP offers healthcare, stock options. It's, something very unique for realtors. And I'll tell you what, I'm so grateful and thankful that I came to EXP when I did. I've been with this company for 3 years now, and it's been such a blessing to my clients as well. And speaking of that, Paul, just to kind of segue back to what you said about having someone in your corner that's going to represent you and have your back when you're making the biggest purchase of your life. I got a phone call from my cousin in Texas, and she had a friend. They were in the middle of about to close on this property, and there's black mold in the property. She gets the young lady or the lady on the phone, and she's, asking my advice. I said, well, ma'am, are you represented by a realtor? Oh, well, no, I was just letting the other agent. I said, well, ma'am, you understand the other agent is representing. It's like going to court and asking you're defending yourself and you're asking,
The prosecutor.
Yeah, the prosecutor to represent you. Thank you. I was at a loss for words there because it's just so crazy, right?
Yeah.
So she had no representation. She was about to lose all of her money because she wanted to back out of the deal. Obviously, there's black mold, right? And so I had to get more information, but I said, ma'am, this is why it's important for you to be represented. You need to have someone. And she totally understood after talking to me. And I did go ahead and share with her that even in the state of Texas, it is required that you have what's called a seller's real property disclosure. This mold was known, and they did not supply her with that seller's real property disclosure. Therefore, that does give her rights, but she doesn't know her rights because she's not a realtor. This is not what she does every day. So let's segue into that to the NAR. Okay, because at the end of the day, things have changed, right? It's my understanding that now buyers will be required to compensate their own representation or their own realtors. I know, but before I even get into it, I'm just going to let you take over because I don't want to assume. Let's just hear from the horse's mouth. Not that you're a horse, Paul. We love you.
Sounds good. Well, it all started in Missouri. It's called the Sitzer-Burnett class action lawsuit. It was filed in Missouri in federal court by a group of home sellers in the state against the NAR and several real estate companies, which included Anywhere, Berkshire Hathaway, Home Services, Keller Williams, and RE/MAX. And the plaintiffs, they claimed that real estate commission rates are too high and buyer representatives are paid too much, and NAR's Code of Ethics and MLS Handbook, along with the cooperative defendants' practices, lead to inflated commission rates. Now, I have a bone to pick with that because, Monique, have I ever called you and colluded with you and told you what you need to charge so I can charge the same thing?
No, absolutely not. No way.
But
Not at all.
unfortunately, the lawsuit was talking about offer of compensation does not mean that a specific amount must be paid. When we were defending ourselves, we were explaining that commissions are not set, that
Never-
it could be as in
never
many
have
cases
been.
as low as zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
And
day long.
the NAR introduced compensation benefits to consumers, and they showed the rules and the anti-competitive behavior and encouraged free markets. But unfortunately, that fell on deaf ears because the jury filed, for the plaintiff, and it was a $1.4 billion lawsuit at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that lawsuit was overturned as far as the amount, and the amount turned into about $440 million, which some of the other independent brokerages did settlements. And NAR has a $440 million paycheck that they need to pay. And who's getting most of the money here? The attorneys.
Right.
If you take $440 million, subtract 30% for the attorneys, and then you divide the remaining amount and give it to the 500,000 homeowners in Missouri. Each homeowner, as a result of being part of this class action lawsuit, will probably end up with $621.60. So,
Wow.
it didn't really help
let's
home
talk
sellers that much.
But let's talk about what it means
Yeah,
for
go ahead.
the seller. Because, we're getting this all day long. Oh, Monique, I heard I don't have to pay the buyer's agent anymore. I'm like, well, you never did have to pay the broker, my broker. When we sit down and we go over what we're going to, pay, what the seller is agreeing to pay for commission, whether that's 3%, 4%, 5%, 6%, the way it's always worked was you agreed to whatever you want to pay me or my brokerage, basically. And then the brokerage, we then pay the other agent out of that. So you technically never did pay the buyer's agent. So, and I think that's where the misconception is coming. I get a lot of that. Monique, oh, what's going on? I heard we don't have to pay. Now, do you know anybody that I don't know, Paul? I don't know anybody that's going to work for free. I don't know. Becky,
No,
do you want to work?
I'm not working for
Can
free.
you free? No, because and I tell my sellers, like, listen, you can do what you want, but at the end of the day, I don't know anybody that's going to work for free. And then all on top of that, that's going to hurt us on who's going to see this property. And another thing, the buyers are already 85% of my buyers are scrounging trying to get the 6% it costs already to buy a home.
But the reality is the
Right.
buyers are the ones that are
Absolutely.
bringing the money to the table. The seller isn't bringing the money. The buyer is the one bringing the money to the table to purchase the property.
See, and some people look at it like that, like, hey, the
There you
seller,
go.
you never did pay. The buyer gave you the money.
Yeah.
And then now you took that money and so-called paid. But it's just it's so much, misconception and so much unclarity, I guess, if that's a thing or a word. I just made it up.
They think we're glorified door openers. That's all we do.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what you got to say
And
about
I
that
can
for my
share
sellers?
about 128 different tasks that a buyer agent does in order to help their client when it comes to purchasing a home. So at the end of the day, what's going to happen is this. We are no longer going to have in our MLS an amount that the seller is going to be willing to cooperate and pay. It's going to have to be on an individual basis, and each buyer will be required, if they want to work with a buyer's agent, and absolutely they should,
Yes.
to have their own representation, they're going to sign a contract called a buyer brokerage agreement. Now, that buyer brokerage agreement will have a fee associated to pay the buyer's agent.
Right.
However, it's not that they have to necessarily pay it out of their pocket,
Right.
because what can happen is you can go and now negotiate your fee as a buyer's agent in the contract. We used to not be able to do that, but because of this lawsuit and the way we're going to restructure things, now, just like a seller has a listing contract, the buyer is also going to need to sign a contract with a buyer's agent to have representation. And part of that fee can be paid by the seller in the form of a seller concession towards the buyer's agent fee.
Right.
So it really hasn't changed that much.
No, not at
Y'all,
all.
at the end of the day, it's just going to be in a different spot as far as whether or not the seller is willing to pay a buyer agent fee or not.
Right.
But here's the deal. Used to, you as an agent, you were required to show all properties no matter what.
Right.
But now, if the buyers cannot afford to pay their down payment, their closing costs, and the buyer's fee,
Yes.
the buyer agent's fee, and this is something for sellers to recognize and understand.
Yeah, because my
then
mouth
they
is
can
all the
tell
way
their
open.
agent.
My mouth is all the way open. I
Yeah.
did not know. I'm just going to admit that. That's why I wanted you to come on, because I did not know that now buyers agents don't have to show you. That's crazy. So my sellers, if they're hearing this, there's no way. Because if they have the right now to say,
Right.
nope, we're not looking at that house, they're not paying any kind of
Yes,
commission, and move on. Oh,
There's
my
no
goodness.
concession to pay the fee that I'm required to pay. If the seller's willing to pay that concession, then I want to see the house because I can afford to buy that house.
Right.
But if there is no concession being offered and they refuse to pay a fee to help the buyer's agent fee out on the buyer brokerage agreement, then in writing, the buyers can state, should there be no seller concession paid towards the buyer agent fee, we want to bypass any properties because we can't afford it.
Right.
And pretty soon, the VA will change their rules to where the buyer can pay a buyer service fee on VA loans. Used to it wasn't that way before, but now in the near future, come August, things will change. But at the end of the day, what really changes?
Not much.
As
Nothing.
long as you as a buyer's agent are working on behalf of your client, your buyer, you show your value, you show all the things that you're going to do for them, and at the end of the day, you can still negotiate your fee to be part of that transaction and be paid out of the proceeds of the sale.
So let me jump on real quick and just say this. Buyers, now, I do listings, quite a lot of listings, but I also, my career started off with buyers, definitely, and I still assist buyers, me and my team. But I'll tell you what, the job does not really start for a buyer's agent until they get you into escrow. That is when they become a counselor. They become a tax prep person. You know what I mean? They are running around. They're
many hats.
administrator. They're doing all title people. They are wearing so many hats to make sure that you get the home that you love and make sure that you're not, for a better word, I don't want to say screwed, but it's to make sure you're not, you know what I mean? In a bad
Yes.
way or whatever you want to put it. At the end of the day, they want to make sure that they represent you to the fullest and make sure that you get that home that you love. Now, let me just go over numbers real quick, just so people can understand. And some of my potential sellers that are listening out there can understand. And if you're just tuning in, we're going over the NAR settlement with my broker, Mr. Paul May with EXP, and my lovely team member, Becky Coins, is on with us. If you would like more information, 702-984-3700 if you're thinking about listing or buying. 702-984-3700. And just to give you guys an idea of what we're talking about, right now, before this takes effect, buyers right now that are buying a $500,000 home, if they're paying their own down payment, and if they don't have me representing them or my team, then they're paying their own closing costs. That puts you at 6.5%. That's around $32,000 that they'll come out of their pocket for down payment and closing costs. Now, if the seller is saying that they do not want to pay any concessions towards their representation, then they're going to have to come out of their pocket $45,000. And
crazy.
Becky,
No, when
that would
bought
have
my
knocked
house,
out
absolutely
85% of my clients. There's no way. They'd have been like, Monique, forget it. We're going on to the next house. So what do you got to say, Paul, about it all? Let's just sum it up. What are your thoughts as a broker, a realtor? You've been in the business 27 years. What do you think this is going to do to my buyers and sellers?
Well, when it comes to representing your buyers, you just need to have that sit-down conversation about there is a buyer brokerage contract, a buyer brokerage agreement that is going to be required for me to even open the first door for you.
Every realtor will have to have it signed. Before
That is
buyers had an
correct.
option, buyers were like, I'm not signing any contract. A lot of them would say that. They can't do that now. If they want to be represented, right, Paul? All realtors
That
are
is
going to be
correct.
required to have them sign a contract.
Yes. So you explain your value, you show them what you're going to do for that fee, and then you explain, I can negotiate this fee as part of the contract to be compensated out of the proceeds of the sale from the seller. So you can make them comfortable and understand that you're going to go for that negotiation. You're a great
Right.
negotiator.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to negotiate your fee as part of the contract.
Right.
And things will be, the same as they were. It's just that you have to explain it. And that's why this lawsuit happened.
And is this going to
Because
start?
agents kind of,
Sorry,
it's
Paul.
going to start in August.
Okay.
August.
Yeah,
Okay,
probably
yeah, that
at
was
the
my-
end of August.
Gotcha.
Unless they push the time frame out further.
Okay, because a
But
lot of
it's-
people were thinking that it was going to start in July. So it looks like it's not starting till August now.
That's August 17th, but the timeline keeps changing because of appeals and final, signing of the dotted line of the terms of the agreement. So
Okay. All right. So what do you think?
business as usual until August, but all agents, it doesn't matter if you're with EXP or not, I will tell you that EXP is having concerted classes every single week about how to navigate this new road of buyer compensation and buyer brokerage agreements. They've been around forever, you guys, but now they're going to be required. In some states, they are required to be signed by law. Not in the state of Nevada, but at the end of the day, I believe our legislation will probably add that as a law that a buyer agent and a buyer need to sign a contract. And hey, we did it with sellers for years. We've been doing a listing contract. Now we're creating a commitment. And I'm going to commit myself to you for a fee. I'm going to represent your interest, and I'm not going to let you buy that house with black mold.
Absolutely. So, guys, thank you so much for coming on today, Paul. Thank you, Becky. And again, we'll bring you back on shortly after everything goes into effect, so you can give us another update, Paul. We really appreciate that.
Sounds good.
All right. My take on this is, hey, at the end of the day, you definitely want to be represented, but you want to be represented by a realtor that knows what they're doing. Because at the end of the day, your cousin's friend's uncle might not cut it anymore. Now, let me stop being funny. But honestly, you want to make sure you have great representation. Somebody's going to have your back and has the knowledge of, what needs to happen to get you to the end of that road. And before we jump off today, I do want to say one more listing that I forgot to mention. And that's 6280 Highland Gardens. That one is going for under $400,000, you guys. It's 1946 square feet in the Northwest area. 6280 Highland Gardens. All right. And again, thank you, Paul, for coming on. Becky, thank you so much. We'll have to do this again.